Hi, this session will cover ITIL and service management interview questions, and these are questions that I've used over the years, having been in ITIL and service management circles for around 25 years. So first question, what is ITSM? Well, it stands for IT Service Management. It's performed by IT service providers, so think around the people, the processes and IT. Fundamentally, it's a set of practices or processes which make up a service management system. Principles very heavily focused around value, quality, continuous service improvement. It allows companies to maximise value from their IT services, and it's a way of delivering and obtaining value across the whole life cycle or the dimension of IT service. So what is ITIL? So it stands for IT Information Technology Infrastructure Library. Provides guidance on how ITSM can be delivered. Now, it's worth pointing out that ITIL is one of those frameworks, obviously, but there are other frameworks, but ITIL is very widely used and accepted. Set of guidelines is a good way to kind of frame it. It's a way of delivering good quality IT services to a business. Best practice framework is absolutely a good way to describe it, and that it's delivering value to business. It focuses heavily on the co-creation of value, so that's certainly an element that you should consider in your answer. So questions I'm seeing more and more now are around what are the differences between version 3 and version 4 of ITIL. Well, terminology for sure, so words like change enablement as opposed to change control seems to be mentioned quite a lot, and the terminology around processes becoming practices. Also, ITIL 4 focuses a lot more on new ways of working, so it's adapted to things like Agile and DevOps, and you start to see that through some of the terminology through the courseworks and just general sort of working with ITIL. And of course there's new exams and new courses to take. The table below, very quick comparison. There are other differences, but these are a few that are definitely worth pointing out. Version 3, you have the service lifecycle. Version 4, it's more about a service value system. Version 3, I mentioned a few moments ago, there were 26 processes. Those have now become 34 practices. So it's more about practice rather than process. So again, that terminology point. 9 guiding principles. In version 4, there's 7 guiding principles. And that's a common question I've seen as well, around what are those guiding principles. I have a slide in this about that. And then the design and 4 Ps comes up quite a lot. So version 3, you had the 4, typical question, what are the 4 Ps of designing a service? In version 4, that's now dimensions. And again, I've got a slide on each one of those. The obvious questions, what are the 4 Ps? What are the 4 dimensions? Next question, so what's the actual benefit of ITIL? Well, it's very much value focused. It brings about a much closer and improved alignment between IT and the business and their expectations. There's a big big focus on value that comes up time and time again. Is the emphasis on value is critical, as is optimizing customer satisfaction, efficiency, operational efficiency and effectiveness is a key point around resources and the assets. Operational risk management, a much better, much improved operational risk management benefit comes from adopting ITIL, and it's certainly a business enabler. It certainly assists with transformation. You see a lot about digital transformation. Okay, so in ITIL 4, what is the service value system? Quite often you'll see this abbreviated to SVS, and it's the new architecture of ITIL. It describes how the various components of an organisation work and how they all fit together, and ultimately how do they enable value creation. It has inputs, it has outputs, there are various elements of that, and certainly a critical input, which would be an obvious, perhaps additional question, is what are the inputs to a service value system. Opportunity and demand is clearly a key input, and value would be an absolute critical output. And it maps elements and capabilities, so fundamentally you can run an efficient and effective and a more agile environment. So a quick fire question, what's the definition of an incident? Now I've put version 3 and version 4 definitions here because there's quite an interesting omission in the ITIL 4 version, which brings it much closer into enterprise service management, so it's much improved. But the ITIL definition: an unplanned interruption to a service or a reduction in the quality of an IT service. ITIL 4, exact same wording, except the word IT is not in there. So an unplanned interruption to a service or reduction in the quality of a service. So yeah, I've put it here at the bottom of the slide. IT is missing in the definition of ITIL 4 for incident, but the much better reason for that is that it allows and it leads into enterprise service management, which so other service providers, other shared service providers like HR or finance, legal departments. So the point there is, definition is it's an unplanned interruption to a service or a reduction in the quality of a service, would be the ITIL 4 answer in terms of definition. Okay, SVC, SVS, you see that mentioned a lot in ITIL 4 circles, and the answer is it stands for Service Value Chain and Service Value System. What does RACI stand for? Responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. So what are the 4 Ps in service management? So what are those 4 Ps that need to be considered in order to be effective? So the straight answer to this is people, process, products and partners. That is a version 3, ITIL version 3 answer. I've put some comments there at the bottom that the 4 Ps are version 3. Version 4 now talks about dimensions, but certainly if you get asked the question, what are the 4 Ps? They're people, process, product, partners. The additional element I would put on there is, that is of course version 3 definition, and version 4 focuses on dimensions. So what is the service value chain? So it's abbreviated to SVC. The best way to describe it is an operating model, and I've underlined that. It's about the creation, the delivery and ongoing improvement of services. It outlines the key activities to create value, and it shows how those components and how those activities work together. I'd say fundamentally it allows you to create or optimize or improve new or existing services and the delivery of IT products. So what are those 4 dimensions and factors? So straight answer is organisations and people, value stream and processes, information and technology, partners and suppliers. So those are the 4 dimensions in version 4 of ITIL. Now the factors are political, economical, social, technological, legal and environmental factors. In ITIL 4, what are the guiding principles? So I've listed them out here. It's focusing on value, start where you are, progress iteratively with feedback, collaborate and promote visibility, think and work holistically, keep it simple, keep it practical, optimize and automate. Look for those opportunities. Where can you optimize? Where can you automate? So back to ITIL 3. So in terms of the service life cycle, what was the service life cycle? What were those stages? So there was strategy, design, transition, operation, CSI, and note that in version 4, this life cycle becomes the service value system, SVS. Quick fire question, in ITIL 3, how many processes are there? 26. Again, just worth having in your back pocket. That's an ITIL 3 type question. It might be worthwhile adding a bit more information there to your answer. In that, of course, in version 4, these become, the terminology changes from process to practice, and the number also changes from 26 to 34. So the straight answer, if somebody says how many processes are there in ITIL 3, straight answer is 26. But I do like to clarify that in version 4, processes become practices, and the numbers go from 26 to 34. Yeah, so in a service desk function, note that key terminology there, function, which processes, practices are commonly used. Well, the first point is just worth stressing, that service desk function, you want it to be a single point of contact. But those practices, those processes, incident requests and access management, or access request. So what's an SLA? Well, it stands for Service Level Agreement, and it's about setting the expectation of the level of service a business would require. So it talks about the commitment between a service provider and the end user. What are they expecting? What is the commitment between those two parties? And there are different types, different varieties and different levels of service level agreements, customer service levels, internal service level agreements, sometimes called OLAs, and vendor agreements, vendor service level agreements. So last slide here is around what is ISO IEC 27002. So it's a code of practice for organisations in security. So it's around the standards. It's about the controls and practices. It's absolutely about good practice. It's not a new thing. It does actually date back to around 30 plus years, and it's the precursor of BS 7799. Okay, thank you very much. If I can encourage you to subscribe, I'll be posting more videos and information around ITIL and service management. Thank you.